Please and thank you.
You better hope I don't die.
I do indeed hope that you don't
You
die.
better hope nothing bad happens to me ever.
I also hope that.
Anything else you'd like while I'm up here?
Yeah, probably.
What?
Yeah, probably. Hi, people. Hello. We have 2 viewers. One of them's probably me.
No, because one of them wasn't you at 16 seconds when you were logged on.
Yeah, but it always takes a while. What's up, Luke? What's going on, big boy?
Who wants to go see that cow?
Do you want to go see the cow? Well, the cow got eaten, baby. The cow's not there.
How do you know the cow got eaten? The cow got slaughtered. You don't know if the cow has been eaten yet.
That's true. The cow may not have been eaten. Who's watching? Who has joined us? Say hello. Loki, do you want to say hello to everyone that's live? Come on back here. Come back here. Come back here. They can't see you over there, baby boy. They can't see you over there. Oh, that's no problem. I told you to take your time. It's not like we have like 3 people that actually watch this anyway, so it's not really a problem.
Also, we don't hate you
Hello,
behind your back.
Hi, baby. Oh, baby. That's true, we don't. What's up? What? What? Ooh, a third person. Well, you gotta practice. It's not like I actually know what I'm gonna talk about when I start these things. Right after you got off and I started setting it up to get on, I was like, now, A-Dog, what are we talking about today? She was like, I don't know.
I'm just the eye candy.
That's true. You are eye candy. You do have
No
nice
one
boobies.
No one cares what I have to say.
Hey, 4 people. We're up to 4 people. Look at that.
Where's Alex?
Oh, he's supposed to be on here. Why don't you message him and ask him? Text him and say, what's up?
I can't
Where
text
you
him.
at?
I do not have phone numbers to text him. I can snap him,
Well, then snap him.
or I can message him on Facebook. Those are your options.
You're the one who wants to know where he is. Although I'm curious too. I miss his face.
You told me he was joining us.
He said he was going to.
There he is.
Ugh! You're too strong for your own good, dog. Xavier, how's your puppy doing? That wee little pup. He ate a cat toy. At least it's getting used. We have so our cat is very small, and A-Dog's mom bought her a little fish toy. It was about this big. It's just entirely too big for our little cat.
Also, it doesn't play back with her, so she doesn't have any.
Well, it's because it's too big. She can't bat it around or anything, so she would never play with it. But at some point, Loki found it, and he just loved it, and he played with it until it was gone, until it was destroyed. So at least it got used, you know, even though it's a cat toy.
They do go a little hyper because of the catnip.
Kitties or doggies?
I think puppies. I think he got a little bit like caffeinated buzz from the catnip.
What even is catnip, really? Is it an herb? Is it a mixture of herbs? If anyone knows what catnip is, please explain it to me.
I think it's a plant.
Well, I know it's plant material, but is it a certain
I think it's very
plant?
much like oregano or basil.
Is it weed for cats?
It's weed for cats, yes.
Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway.
You Google it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we lost somebody. That's okay. I'm okay with it. So we were going to talk today about creating scenarios. Um, so for many a year at this point, what, 5 years now, right? We've been attending scenarios.
Since 2015, so 3 years.
No, it's been more than that. No, it's been 4 years. Because we've done 4D days. We played one?
Yes, but the first one was 2015. Which would be 4. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. It's still 4. It's just...
Okay, so for 4 years now, we've been playing scenarios. But we're just now starting to get into the other side of it and helping to create scenarios. But not just scenarios, but other things too. So something I've wanted to do for at least a few months now, because I originally brought it up early spring. I wanted to have like a class or something. Not really a class, maybe like a small camp.
March or April when you... It might have been February.
But even before that, we talked about doing it with your class.
Yes.
And that was years ago that we talked about it. Just teaching new players, particularly, kids, but of any age really, new players that want to get into the game and want to have a better experience than, going up against experienced players. You're always going to have a good time playing paintball, or almost always, but it's definitely better if you have some idea of what you're doing when you're going up against players that are good. They know what they're doing. They're organized. They've been playing for years. So just give them some basic knowledge as to how to play the game. Some introductory courses kind of thing. So we're currently working on that. We're going to make a summer camp of it, essentially, for, like I said, mostly for kids, but any age is welcome. But mostly, definitely for new players. It's not going to be an advanced course by any means. You're not going to be like a tournament pro after this or anything like that. That's really not the point of it. It's just to get new people in to learn how to play, and even if you're an experienced player and you just want to go over the basics, it's never hurts anybody to relearn the basics, or you just want someone else's opinion on things or someone else's point of view, just to see how someone else does it. I know at work all the time, we have our meetings every Monday, and that's legitimately what we do. We talk about what we did throughout the week, what we came across, and how we handled it, so that everyone else can learn from that. Even if it's something that you've already done many, many times, hearing how someone else handled the situation, could be very beneficial. So that's what we're going to be doing June sometime, right?
I think once school lets out.
Once Pittsburgh Public Schools let out, so it's like middle of June.
I wouldn't even say it's purely beginners. I wouldn't say that it is advanced by any means, but I think some of the stuff that we're teaching would fall into being intermediate, at least.
Maybe a little bit. There's some things there that, like, I don't know about intermediate. I would say,
or more so,
if you broke it down even farther and said, like, even before beginner you have, like, novice and never played before, we're probably between never played before all the way up to beginner. Okay. So there's some things that we'll go over that maybe you've even heard of, but you really don't know how to do it or don't know the right technique or anything like that. What other fields have you, or places have you seen doing camps? Because I've never heard of one before. That's why I came up with it. But I originally came up with the idea.
You didn't come up with summer camp.
No, not summer camp.
You wanted to have like
a paintball-based something.
A paintball-based class that you had one day just to teach them a couple things, and then the next day they would get into the field for free and just play. Where Phil and I originally said that we would take the entire week and have a summer camp.
Right. Um, so that's true. But originally, when I like what first put this idea into my head was at least 3 years ago, when um, when you were teaching. So Adog was teaching, and um, it's no secret that we love paintball. Everyone knows that, including her students at the time. And they kept asking her to take them on a field trip to play paintball. And in order to do that as a field trip, you really have to make it educational. Like, you can't just go willy nilly anywhere, right?
The homeroom that I had, I was teaching religion, and I would discuss paintball with them, and they made me angry one day because they failed this really easy Old Testament quiz. And so I gave them a paintball quiz, and all of them passed. Like, I think I gave them 10 questions that just came up on the top of my head because it was like it was a paintball pop quiz. And I remember, like, the majority of them, I think the average was that they missed one when they completely bombed a religion quiz that we've been discussing for the entire week. And I was like, I've been talking to you about paintball for 2 days, and that gets absorbed to your brain. Well, God forbid you would know, like, baptism, reconciliation.
In their defense, paintball is much more interesting than anything else you could talk about. But anyway, so the point is that they wanted to do paintball with her at school, whether it be a school trip or a field trip or after school or whatever. And in order to do that, we felt, I don't know if we ever got to this stage with the school, but we felt we needed to teach them some stuff and make it at least somewhat educational. So, like, I started forming in my head what to teach them, what to go over with them, and that sort of thing. And that's what originally got this thought into my head, and that was a couple of years ago. Until finally I decided, okay, I'm just going to bring it up to, in this case, at the time, Ryan at Three Rivers. And I presented it to him, and basically I said, it'll be a small class, 1 or 2 days, and then maybe you can get in for free afterward, or how, we could work that all out. And it was a nice long presentation of just kind of, not like really long, but long enough to give him a feel for what it would be. And he really liked it. He said, yeah, let's go, that sounds good. I'll bring it up, we'll talk about it, and I'll get back to you. And Ryan and all of them at Three Rivers are great people, and he's very excited about things, but something that he definitely doesn't do is actually follow through with things. So it never got any farther than that, which is really disappointing for me, until our sponsorship with P3 happened just very recently, right after Reaper's Siege, and I brought it up there, and they loved it. So John and Jen and everyone was like, yeah, that's great. You write up some, do the back work, and we'll make it happen. So we don't have a date officially set yet, but it will be right after the Pittsburgh Public Schools let out, so mid to late June.
And all the details will probably be out by January.
Yeah, all the dates and everything.
You'll
and
know
up.
Everything that's happening
right
by January.
Sometime in January, we'll definitely know. You'll be able to. I assume you'll be able to sign up for the class shortly after that, maybe by February. We already have a bunch of notes on what we're going to teach and in what order and how it all interconnects. Obviously, we have plenty more work to do, but it's all getting there. So I'm really excited about that. And
the fact that we've had a sponsorship for a month now, and John wants to grow and change and listen to everybody's idea, and even if it bombs, even if the camp does not work the way we think it would, and I'm not saying that's going to bomb, but the fact that he's still taking a chance to see if it bombs says a lot about John. The fact that he wants to try new things regardless of the outcome. And I'm not going to speak ill of Three Rivers. I like going there. I will not speak ill of Ryan but there's no change at Three Rivers. This is what I've been doing since 1985, and this is what I will continue to do until there is no more paintball, or I can't own this field anymore.
Right. I mean, and it does work for him. He's making the money and everything. So, don't fix what's broken, I guess. But for us, we want to do things like this, and again, it's not that he's not willing to. It's just that he doesn't actually do it. So he's very open to listening, and yeah, that's great, and it sounds really good, and he sounds excited about it. He just doesn't do it, and this isn't the only thing. There are many things. He's told me specifically about, like, there was a new field that he wanted to build, and he was so excited about it. He had all these ideas. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I'll help you out.
Onto the field,
he showed us all this stuff, and then it's never happened. It's over a year later, and they haven't even started it, and I don't think they ever will, honestly.
And what really astounds me is that you go to P3, and there's more people there on open play on a random Saturday than you will see at any scenario at Three Rivers, and that kind of just baffles my mind. Like, I'm very...
I never would have imagined that.
I didn't realize how many people actually played the sport until going to P3. And the fact that they have... Saturday when I refed, there were 5 parties there. 4 or 5... I think they had like 6 parties scheduled. 1 turned into open play because they didn't have enough people. They wanted to shoot more faces. And the other one, I don't think, showed it up at all. But there were 4 parties. I've seen maybe 2 parties at Three Rivers. So to see all of these people come out and play and be involved and be really excited is weird for me, because you don't see that when you go to Three Rivers.
Right.
Like, Turkey Day is the big day for them.
That is a very large day. Hi, Lo. That is not for you. Get out of here. Get out of here. Big sneak. Ow. As he eats your face.
He did really eat my face, and it hurt. But
eat people's faces. You did kind of deserve that one. So where was I? What was I saying? Oh yeah. So yeah. Now, not that we're abandoning Three Rivers by any means. We're certainly not. Personally, I still like it better for playing. Just because it's bigger, there's more fields and everything. Loki, that is so unnecessary. But it seems like at this point we're going to be spending more time at P3 between reffing now, writing this and other scenarios that we'll be doing, engaging in the scenarios that they have there. They never used to have too many of them. Now they're going to have more. And just the sponsorship there, so it's cheap for us to play there now. One of the big things that always kept us at Three Rivers specifically was that you buy the membership. They do have a very good membership plan, absolutely. If you're looking into buying a membership plan, Three Rivers is a very good one. It's cheap. You get in there real easy. And they do treat us very well. They absolutely always have. There's no question about that. But now with the sponsorship of P3, like, we can get in there. Sponsorship is cheap paint, and then the reffing is free entry. So, like, it's pretty cheap for us to play there now. But so now scenarios. There's already talk of Reaper Siege 2. So obviously, anyone who's watching this, I'm sure you've seen all the Reaper Siege videos. There is one came out yesterday. There will be one more coming up, and then one more after that. That's the last one. There will be no more Reaper Siege after that one.
I think that's the most.
It's definitely the most I've ever gotten out of one scenario, and I'm not too thrilled about the last one. My gun cam had run out of battery by that point, and then eventually my head cam runs out too, like in the middle of the footage. It's not the best I've ever made, that's for sure. But it's interesting enough.
Also, you see what's happening, and you're not just looking at leaves.
You're not just looking at leaves.
So,
that's true.
50% better than what's out there now.
Oh, that's unfortunately true. Although not everyone agree with you. Reddit, for anyone who is ever considering getting into YouTube, Reddit people are really freaking mean. Reddit is and other threads like that are the way to get views. I can double or even triple my views by putting things on Reddit. But people on there are mean. Your GoPro got shot. Well, don't let it get shot anymore. Dodge. And there's the 5 Ds. Dive, dodge, dip, dive, duck, and dodge. So, right?
Yeah.
Just
Ben
don't
Stiller
get
would
shot.
be so proud of you.
I know.
Although technically that wasn't Ben Stiller.
Well, he wrote it. Loki, I can't throw it if you don't give it to me, dog. What was I saying? I was saying something. What was I saying?
You're talking about Reapers. You were talking
Yes,
about
so
Reddit being mean.
Yeah, Reddit is very mean. So if you're ever considering making videos for yourself, keep that in mind. I think the internet in general is
I
mean.
think everyone's just mean.
But when I post things on there, I get all of the dislikes, and like very few people comment on why they didn't like it. I'll ask questions. One video I put up, it was from a scenario. I think
it's
this
the one
this
when,
year.
yeah, people were shooting through.
World War II, right? It was Mayan.
Yeah.
So
you were at the castle.
It was the
Three
Mayan
Rivers.
scenario. People were shooting through the walls, and we were told we weren't allowed. So I made this video on it. Let me see if I can find the title of it, and so you guys can watch it
I think it was Salty
if you
Ref.
haven't already.
Something Ref. It wasn't Salty Ref because you used
Salty Ref.
You used Salty for the guy. It had something to do with the ref because you mentioned. You were told specifically that you were not allowed to shoot through the holes that are in the walls of the castle. And then I guess the other team got into the castle and they were shooting through those holes, and Balls got angry because Balls never has a gun, so he's just standing behind this castle. And you were talking with the ref as well, and I believe the Reddit people thought that you were just being a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, that's basically like what they got from it. It might be Mayan Mission 2.
I thought it specifically was.
I think it's either Mayan Mission 2 or Mayan Mission 3. Because it was definitely from Mayan. Well, in any case, it's one of the Mayan videos. I'd have to actually play it to... I think it's probably this one, because this one has all the views.
And that's the castle.
Let's see here. Yeah, okay. It is Mayan Mission 2, everybody. But basically, yeah, we were told specifically we weren't allowed to shoot through the cracks, and then people start shooting through the cracks, so I'm just like, hey, what up? And I'm getting real mad because they're calling me out. I'm like, well, they shot me through the crack. I was told we weren't allowed to do that. And then they're like, well, you can shoot through some, but not others. And I was like,
they also,
which ones? Like, can you? And then I just was like, mark which ones we're allowed to shoot through because this is ridiculous.
Also, the ref mentioned something about how there were so many players he can't keep track of.
Well, and that's a good point. That's a good, and absolutely, you cannot keep track of everything. That is 100% true. I'm with him on that. But the that ref, I'm friendly with him. I'll talk with him before and after games, and so it was just like the heat of the moment thing. But on Reddit, people like. There were all these comments about how, like, you've never reffed before, you've never reffed a big game before, you don't know how hard it is, people make mistakes, and I was like, well, I have reffed. I haven't reffed a big game, but I have reffed. I have since done that. Reffed a scenario game. Although it was airsoft, but still, basically the same thing. And, you need to come some slack and stop whining, and don't get mad at him. I was like, guys, I wasn't actually fighting with him. Like, calm down. And someone was like, it's just a game. Calm down. And I was like, well, yeah, it is just a game, and it's all supposed to be for fun. But my wife was generaling. Like, I wanted us to win for that reason. I had some teeth in the game. and just I don't know. People are mean, but anyway, the point is keep that in mind. But so where was I going? Reaper Siege 2. Airsoft is not. Oh no, airsoft does not equal paintball, but they're when it comes to reffing, it is essentially the same. Um, the tactics are much the same. Not exactly the same by any means. I'm not saying they're the same sport, but they are from the same family. It's like if you were to watch Underworld, the Underworld series. It's the Vampire and Lycan movie.
Yes, I know. With Kate Beckinsale, I
Right,
got it.
with Kate Hottensail. They're lichens and vampires are not at all the same thing, but they do come from the same place, right? So anyway,
It just got way too nerdy in here.
Reaper Siege 2 is being planned at this point. It's not at all confirmed by any means. Reaper has said that he wants to, so that's exciting. And there's all sorts of ideas floating around about what's going to happen, not just with that scenario, but also other ones. So we'll most likely be helping a little bit with that one, but not. I personally don't want to get too in depth with it because I plan on playing it, and I don't want to have like behind the scenes knowledge as to points
also,
and stuff.
It's still Kivo and Jen's scenario.
Yeah, it's still theirs. So I mean, it's definitely still theirs, but they have already asked that we help in general with upcoming scenarios. Now, there's another scenario that ADOG and I have started really thinking about. One particular segment of it we have almost completely mapped out, and I'm super excited about it. And then the rest of it we're going to start doing some background work on here soon. I've already actually talked to Jen a little bit about it, and she just kind of laughed at me for it. Because I was asking,
You're gonna get slapped by that woman.
I was asking for funds on some. Well, I'm going to give you guys a hint as to what's needed.
I think you should give them a hint.
It's a super broad hint. So I was asking for how to bill P3 for the what's the word I'm looking for? Equipment. The equipment that I need to do research for this snare, and the equipment that I happen to need is an NES. And if you don't know what an NES is, too bad. That's the only hint you're getting.
I feel like he knows what an NES is, though.
Well, I'm sure Xavier does, but he's only 24.
He's a baby.
He's just a wee
He's
lad.
a baby.
Speaking of snares with Xavier, so Eric is texting me, and he's been saying that he has ideas specifically for your field, because you have a ravine, and that's needed for his idea here. Now, it would need tweaked a little bit for the APU, but it would work. I mean, we could absolutely tweak it a little bit. He has terrorist cells against the U.S. SEALs, so we could easily change that. The SEALs being Atlas and the terrorists being the rebels. That's easy to change. But he says he has basic rules written and everything. So if you do go forward with the APU, we already have some ideas for it. I have some ideas for you too, but Eric's already got some stuff written out. He doesn't have it necessarily for the APU, but he has it for...
Are you saying APU?
Atlas Paintball Universe.
Oh. Okay, that makes more... I was very confused because I was thinking ARU, so...
What would that stand for?
Well, that's Atlas Rising Universe.
It's the Atlas Paintball Universe.
Okay, calm down. Calm down. It can be whatever you want it to
Atlas Rising was the name of that particular scenario.
Okay.
But Atlas is the country or whatever it is, so therefore it would be the Atlas universe.
But you know what? It's Xavier's universe, so he can call it whatever the hell he wants.
That's true. You can name it whatever you want, and let me know if you think of a different name, but I just thought the APU.
Because it's all about his idea.
It is about his idea. That doesn't mean he can't have ideas from other people.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, what if he doesn't want to call it Atlas Paintball Universe?
If he has a different name, I will gladly call that. But until he comes up with something, APU.
And I'm not saying that he should use Atlas Rising Universe. I was just very confused what the P was.
Not to mention pony points. Not to mention that at all.
Not to mention.
I'm not going to mention pony points. I'm not going to bring it up. It's going to be pretty rare that I will ever mention pony points. But I will say that something important to me happened there. It may or may not have been pony points, but you know, there you have it.
I know the 4 people who are watching this are just so jealous that I get to live with you and spend every day of my life with you.
They are jealous of me for them that cleavage right there, though. Look at that.
You can't see any of my cleavage.
Yes, look at it. It's there.
I love you.
Yes. So
I love you
okay.
very
So
much.
anyway, the point is that we're definitely getting into the other side of scenarios. We're not just going to be playing them. I'm not going to stop playing them by any means. I love scenarios. I love playing paintball in general, especially scenarios because I like the story. Honestly, for me, it's as fun to get ready for this scenario as it is to actually play the scenario. You look so bored right now. Look at that face in there.
I'm listening to you.
You know, ADOC can attest to the fact that I will spend at least a month ahead of time just like planning out what we're going to be doing for a scenario. When I have no say in what the scenario is or how it goes, like if we're generaling it. I think for D-Day this year we spent 2 months planning. For Mayan it was at least a month.
Mayan it was a month because for Mayan we had each mission, so we researched each event
and what was gonna what could happen.
So that
things
was.
Like that. So for
I
me,
think we started in like February.
For me, putting in that type of work is just as fun as actually playing. Not just as fun, but pretty fun. Gives me something to do. Gives my mind something to do. So creating scenarios would be good too, but I definitely am not going to stop playing them by any means. But hopefully between P3 and if we do end up helping with the APU, you know, we'll be getting in on the back end of scenarios, you know, quite a bit. As I said, you know, the ones I plan on playing, I don't want to have too much involvement planning because that would give me a super unfair advantage. Now, I guess we could easily plan and play provided we're of no importance that day. So like we certainly couldn't be generals. That's 100%. Or even like a squad leader. I don't know if we could even do that if we made the scenario or had a big hand in making the scenario. You know what I'm saying? Like if we plan it out, we know what all the points are going to be. We know when things are going to happen.
I think for the one we're doing with the NES, I don't think we.
No, we're not going to. That one we're just.
Although I would really love to, for what we're, I would love to run the main concept that we have right now.
That would be a lot of fun.
But
the point is that we can't do too much behind the scenes work and then be super involved in it. We can never ever general or be important for something that we've written. Like unless.
But I think we can be involved in Reapers 2, or at least give our opinions for Reapers 2 without being majorly involved, because I feel that that's Kivo's. He wrote the first one, and not that like if he asked my opinion.
But it depends on how involved.
Yeah,
you know,
what I'm saying is that if he asked our opinion, or if, you know, he threw out some suggestions and he said, which one do you think is better, or which one do you think would work better, I think giving him
broad
feedback.
Broad concepts are certainly fine. Even knowing like there will be a drop at some point, right? Like that is fine. We can absolutely know that, but we shouldn't know there's going to be a drop at 12 p.m. in Sector C. Like, that's something I shouldn't know and be playing. Because that would just not be fair at all.
But if we knew, like, if we had picked a team already, so they already know that we're going to be on a specific team if he asks us about that. Stop dying.
Okay, reconnected. It reconnected.
was so worried.
We're back. It's okay. I don't know what happened there, but we're back. Yeah, but so there will be certain ones. There's going to be at least one, hopefully, coming up in 2019 that we will just straight out write most of. It may be you. It's all your fault. um, and then Reaper Siege 2, we're certainly going to be involved in. And we're spinning again. We're having internet issues here for some reason. Hey dog, what are you doing to me?
I didn't do anything.
And then obviously, so we have ideas for the APU. If you'd like to hear those, we have them. Eric apparently has rules written out already for his. He's much like me, I think.
I suggest you talk to him though, and not like he tell you and you tell Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, we'd all have to get together on that one.
Do I have to be involved in that?
Yes, yes, you do. I think Eric's much like me in that once he thinks of something like an idea, he's really like if he has nothing else going on, he really gets into it. That happens to me all the time when I'm driving because I drive for work, and so I'm on the road. If I'm on the road for some days 2 hours, I have nothing to do but think. Right, so an idea comes into my head.
That's a dangerous place to be.
And I just do it. I just think because I've got nothing else to do, so I just think about whatever's on my head.
Many a day you call me and be like, "Hey, I have this idea."
It's true. I do that a lot.
And they're all usually about baseball.
Almost always, yeah.
About 75%, 80%.
Okay, Eric.
It's Wednesday.
What day is today?
Today is.
What day is today? I'm just gonna wait till you answer. I know there's a delay. It's appropriate that there's crickets in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I hear crickets. Very good. Now, on what days do we go live, typically?
You did change it, though.
After events. No. The correct answer would be Wednesday. He's the worst teammate in the world.
I don't think that's true.
That's true. That's not true at all.
I don't think you should give him that much credit.
That's not true at all. You're nowhere near the worst teammate in the world.
Let's face facts. He's like at fourth command now. So
he's pretty. Yeah. You are pretty up there. Just so you know, Minion. You're pretty far up there.
Because
right
no one replaces the Jew.
That's true. You can never replace the Jew.
You can't replace Ray.
No offense to anyone else out there, Jewish or otherwise. Our Jew cannot be replaced.
No. Ray could die, and let's hope that never happens. And no one would still be able to replace him. He would still be third command.
True that. But in a way, because he was dead, that would bump fourth to third?
No, he would just live
from the grave. Command from the grave.
He would live posthumously as third.
Posthumously?
Yes.
Posthumously? Is that the word you're looking for here?
Same difference.
Anyway.
He is Team Jew.
He's Team Jew. His official title is Team Jew, just so everyone knows. In case you didn't already know, his official title is Team Jew. But unfortunately for this year, he hasn't been to anything with us because he's had a lot of stuff going on. Like he's working, I think, 3 jobs at this point. His dad was really sick for a long time and then passed away. And then they were trying to pay off a bunch of bills from when his dad was sick, and that's why he's working so much, and he's helping his mom out. And there's a lot going on. So he hasn't been able to actually attend anything with us, which is one of the only rules I typically actually have for my teammates is come to at least one event every year. But he actually has legitimate excuses as to why he hasn't been with us. He's also the Team Jew. He's irreplaceable. But anywho, Eric, at some point, you, me, and Xavier are going to get together and talk about the ideas you have and putting that into his field, whether it be as you currently have it written or as part of the APU if he does decide to go with that.
I just thought of something.
Tell me what you're thinking of. Do you want me to put this on mute, or can you just say it?
No, I can just say it.
Okay.
So you talked about pony points.
Pony points.
We used to have a pony on our team. He's no longer on there.
That's true.
That's saddening. It just made me think of him. I'm sorry.
He was never actually on the team, though. Like, he expressed interest, but then was never actually on the team.
Well, you pissed off the girl he wanted to get into, so.
Ah. Well, that's part of it, but even long before that, though, like, he came to the team meeting in February and then just never pursued it further, so.
True. That team meeting was kind of a waste of time.
It was, unfortunately. We are going to have a team meeting again for 2019.
Are we?
Yes, we are. It's going to be a little different. I'm not going to have it at a restaurant. I think we're just going to have it in our backyard if it's warm enough. If it's not, we'll have it upstairs.
I don't want to leave my house and I don't want to put pants on.
You never do. We'll all just get a pizza or something. And we're going to make it... I think I'm going to have to make it mandatory. You have to be there in person unless you have an actual, like, legitimate excuse.
Yeah, that Skype thing. Like, I understood John. John was a little drunk and a little sick. But trying to have, like, we had, like, 3 people on Skype. We were at 2 tables because I called the wrong Eaton Park. So that was my fault. But, like, it was just, there were so many people and everybody was talking over everybody else. And people brought people that they shouldn't have brought.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one.
And then I don't like having to put a filter on when I shouldn't have to. I'm the assistant captain. I should be able to say whatever the hell I want to say.
Okay.
I also don't like when, and this is part of the team meeting, like, don't bring your significant others unless they're part of the team. Or your fake significant others. I wasn't really sure what that was, but I really hate when women, like, try to touch the arm. Like, they're like, this man's mine. What do you think I'm going to do with your man? Or in any other woman's regard. That irritates me.
Well, stop being so damn hot and people wouldn't feel threatened by you.
I didn't say people were threatened by me. Let's hold that horse. But I'm not hot. I don't understand why that needed to happen.
Anyway, well, you're going to find a way to be there because you're going to have to be.
Okay, so when he starts driving, I'm going to stay off the road.
Oh, snap. Shots fired. What you going to do about that?
Hell, I'm off the road anyway because I don't.
We will likely not play D&D just because I've only ever played it twice, and I've really, like, I wouldn't be able to coordinate that and a meeting. Plus, it would get in the way of the meeting. So no, maybe Risk. Risk is easy enough. He said more room for him. Oh, snap! Good response. I gotta give him that one. That was a decent response.
It's okay.
That was a decent response from him.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because that could be taken numerous.
I'm not gonna say it was great response, but it was decent enough, and it was quick. He was jumping on the ball with that one.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So, yeah. So back to where I was before I started rambling about who knows what the fuck I was rambling about.
You were talking about our team meeting.
I know, but before any of that, we were talking about writing and being involved in scenarios. So, Reaper Siege 2, most likely. The one that we're writing, most likely. If we help Slaughterhouse, if we help you guys do some of your stuff, there's at least one that Eric's working on, and at least 1 or 2 ideas that we've had that aren't anywhere near fleshed out. They're not even like full ideas. They were just like glimpses of ideas that we could form into something really. and I think that's gonna be fun because that's what I do anyway. Usually in my head, I'm going over these things anyway, whether it be how do we win this particular snare coming up, and now it's going to shift to, what are we doing for this snare that we're going to be writing. So that'll be a good time. I'm excited about that. How do you feel?
I like being involved and not having to play if it's going to be non-mission based.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
I doesn't know.
You
Oh,
need
you said
photos
you
of the ravine to work out different objectives. Xavier, that's all you, because Eric's needy. What's up?
You're worried about not playing, but there's Ion that we go to every year, and there's 68 caliber because you want to be the Americans. And
Here's an example. Speaking of Ion, a good example of my just thinking things through without really having any reason to. I put in a bunch of work, drew up pictures, like a whole presentation of how things would go, progress, and things. There was a series of photos of how it would happen for the beach landing of Ion. Without
are you talking about D-Day or Ion?
Ion for Ion specifically, because it hadn't officially been decided where we were going to be or what we were going to do or how if we were allowed to do the thing that I was planning, which was take the beach back from the Americans. But I spent a good amount of time doing all this and sent it to him, and he was like, "That's great." And then we ended up not being on that beach. We ended up being on a different beach, and not doing it at all. And then, sure enough, he had told me, "I'm going to pass this up the line, because it looks good." And sure enough, the people that were on that beach did almost exactly what I had planned out. Now, I'm not saying that they used my plan. They very well, it could have easily been just someone else came up with the same thing. It's not like it was super visionary or anything. But it could easily be that they took my idea and ran with it because I did lay it all out. And we just did not use it. So that's a good example of me doing stuff that I don't need to be doing. But that's where my head goes. That's what I do.
They're talking about them.
Okay, yeah. Well, you two talk. Good. So, sorry, what were you saying before I interrupted you?
No, I just saying there's enough scenarios that we're not going to be involved in that you can participate in.
That's true. I mean, we always have 68
you
caliber
always
we're
have
going
at
to.
least one mission masters that we do.
Yeah, usually one or two mission masters. We still have the 68 caliber D. We're going to be Americans this year. And then Ion, and there's always more that spring up here and there that we can go to. I plan on going to Atlas, right? Or at whatever the next Atlas is.
We always go to the first.
So again, with that one, don't expect me to put too much work into that one because I don't want too much behind the scenes knowledge. We can certainly help, but I'm not going to put a lot of back knowledge into
I
it.
think that we should, with our scenarios, because we're new, we don't want to compete with mission masters at all. I don't think that would be wise. So we really need to wait until their schedule comes out, or I'll message them and say, "What are your plans? We don't want to compete with you."
That's very true. That's very
Not
true.
necessarily because we want to compete with them, because we don't think we're going to get the numbers, just because I like playing Mission Master scenarios.
And we don't.
I don't want to be running a scenario
When they're
playing one.
that is something that I've noticed that a few places in the Pittsburgh area are doing, and I don't know if they do it on purpose to compete or if it's just coincidental. I know of at least one that was announced for a certain day, which is the same day as a Mission Masters, and then they changed it a few days later. But a lot of fields are they're coming out with different events on the same day.
Or the same weekend.
Or the same weekend. Not even necessarily the same day, but the same weekend. Even last year, to throw out my two favorite, two fields, Three Rivers had a scenario on Saturday, and then P3 had the 5-man Woodsball tournament on Sunday. Now, we did play both, but boy, were we tired for Sunday. And I'm not going to say that that's why we came in 7th out of 10, because I'm sure it's not, but I guarantee we contributed to it. But like you couldn't have moved it 1 week
They seem
back.
to not pay attention to like the entire paintball schedule. And
Yeah.
with social media now, you know when an event is happening at least a week and a half.
Most likely more than that. So like stop um, putting things in the same day, the same weekend. Um, I know this year there's a particular field. I'm not going to name any names on this one because it would be like call them out as BS. Um, that decided to do a series of I believe they're 5-man mechanical tournaments. Um, I think they planned like 6 of them or something, and they're not over yet. I don't believe, which is cool. Like that's nice. The problem is that John at P3, the reason he did the 5-man last year, the whole idea behind it was, let's see if people are interested in this. If they are, what he wanted to do was host one there, host one at Three Rivers, host one at there, over there.
He wanted it to be.
He wanted it to be collaboration between all the Pittsburgh fields. And that sounds awesome.
Also, he wanted it to be an annual thing.
Right, have like an actual Pittsburgh series, like I don't know what you'd call that, a league of Pittsburgh paintball league or whatever, where you play a tournament there, you play a tournament there, you play a tournament there. You got your home fields and away fields and everything.
It would be a Pittsburgh paintball league because
Yeah,
they do
basically.
that with softball and soccer and I think kickball. It's the PSL and it's the Pittsburgh Sports League.
Right.
And
So whether or not that would ever actually work, I don't know. But it was a really good idea. And the problem is, so that this other field in the Pittsburgh area just straight up took it. They were like, these are ours now. And they, without consulting anyone, without talking to John, without working with other local fields, they were just like, we're having a woods ball tournament. Here it is. There'll be one, this day, this day, this day, this day. And that was it. And they just like straight up stole it. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't your idea.
I liked that tournament.
Yeah, it was good. And that's another thing I've told them vigorously. I want them to bring that back. I plan on playing it, and they said they would love
And
to
that's-
as well.
Kivo had an idea, and we had discussed a little bit of kind of it being set up like March Madness, but it's woods ball, and it'd be a money award. So you would pay to play, but then if you won, you got money at the end, and I think they would still have the raffles because they get sponsored.
They do, yeah.
They have amazing stuff that they give away. Besides all the T-shirts and like the patches and whatnot, for Reapers they gave away
In EVS.
2 masks.
Yeah.
One which was an EVS. One I think was a dye. I'm not sure if it was a
No,
dye.
I thought it was a full helmet one, like
It
a cheaper
might have
one. But in any case, there's a lot of good prizes.
They just have a lot of people who sponsor them, and even at Reapers there were vendors at Reapers.
So like, stop stealing things. And you're right as far as putting schedules out early enough. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, there's always gonna be, even accidentally, there's gonna be competing because there's only so many weekends. That is absolutely true. And I hate to be like super biased, but I'm gonna have to be a little bit. There are certain administrations, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, that are established. In my mind, Mission Masters comes to mind.
Production companies.
But
Not
like
a
fields and production companies and everything. So for me, Mission Masters come first. Like everyone knows Mission Masters, and I think most people love Mission Masters. People look forward to Mission Masters. So probably they should come out first, and everyone should build around them. And again, I know that's super biased towards them. But even if I particularly didn't personally like them, I would. You still have to admit, everyone knows them, right? Like they're big. Everyone in the Pittsburgh
They're big
area
in
knows Mission Masters.
Western
Yeah.
and Pennsylvania
So-
because we're not really Midwestern.
And then another one again. We go to this and I love it, but try not to be biased. Is Ion. It's not in Western Pennsylvania, but it is a big one that a lot of people go to.
And Ion doesn't change.
And that's what I'm saying is that's the same every year. It's the middle weekend of July every year.
And
You know that 10 years ahead, you know that it's if they have it, it's going to be the middle of July.
it's not just Ion, but Battle of Berlin.
All three of them are the
all
same.
All three of them are the same. I mean, the dates aren't the same because the calendar year changes, but
they're
the
weekend.
same week every time. D-Day in Oklahoma is the same week. It's the second week of June.
Yeah, but that one's far enough away. That one in like Fulda Gap and those ones, even though they're big, you got to plan things the same weekend because they're so far away.
No, but the one in D-Day is the same week every year. It's always the.
But my point is that you could plan something in Pittsburgh the same weekend because it's too far away. Ion, you'd probably want to avoid because there's a whole lot of people that go there.
I'm just mentioning that there are some the big ones are usually the same time frame every year, so you know about those.
So you want to avoid those ones. You want to avoid Mission Masters games, and then from there, before maybe what would be nice is if the local fields. I know there's competition. I know that's how, the capitalism works. But like, maybe the owners should get together for an hour on the phone and just say, "Hey guys, is anyone using this weekend?" Nope. Good. Okay, we're having that event this weekend. Is everyone using this weekend? No. Good. We're taking that weekend. Like,
also,
because the people that want to go to these, like, we would love to go to as many as we can afford to go to. But if you've got two on the same day, or even the same weekend, we can only choose one, right?
We wanted to go to Ghost Recon this year. We were asked to go to Ghost Recon by Poltergeist, and we couldn't because it was the weekend after.
It was the weekend after Ion.
And Ion is our big excursion. We spend we spend a lot of money going to Ion, and so. Also, Ion is
tiring.
Right. I don't want to move the entire week after Ion. I definitely don't want to play another scenario that I know is going to be labor intensive. Or I am a competitive crazy lady and I would want to win.
So, I mean, now you can't necessarily spread them all enough that there's a weekend before each one and a weekend after each one that's free. I know you can't do that. But making sure they're not on the same weekend is easy enough. It really is.
And considering that, I don't know if Urban Assault does serious scenarios, but like they're not that many big fields that do scenarios in the Pittsburgh area that like you have to be concerned about, the same weekend. There's enough weekends between March and November that you don't have to have an event on the same weekend.
Absolutely true, and that's what I'm trying to say. So, but not even necessarily scenarios, just events in general. So there was the one I mentioned a little earlier was announced. Let's say it was a Monday. I don't know what day it was. Let's say it was announced on Monday, and it was announced for the same day as Nazi Zombies for Mission Masters, and then by Wednesday they had changed the date. Because they realized it was the same one. So I'm glad they changed it. But like you couldn't have looked before you did that.
Because
like, what are you thinking?
Mission Masters is from my understanding, they come out mid-March, beginning of March, because their first scenario is usually end of March, beginning of April.
Yeah, somewhere in April-ish. Yeah.
But Mayan, I think, was in May.
So how hard is it to just look at the calendar and say, "Oh, that's happening that weekend. We shouldn't announce that." So especially if the owners got together at the beginning of the year and worked that out. But once they are released and you eventually think of one, I want to add one to this. Just look down the calendar. But I've said this many times to many people. Pittsburgh, I feel, is oversaturated in the paintball world. Not with players. I wish we had more players, honestly. But with fields. I mean, there's 10 fields within an hour and a half. There's doubles that if you go within 2 hours, right? And so there's just too many fields and not enough players. But there could be the numbers can work out if you coordinate a little bit. Because, so what I was trying to say was that the two of us, we would love to go as many as we can afford. But we can't do it on the same weekends. We have to choose. So if you put two on the same day, we're going to choose whichever one is either cheaper, closer, better, like,
We already know that it's just
yeah,
good
like if
people.
we would choose a Mission Masters over just about anything else, or if it sounds more interesting. Okay, so like one of those things or a couple of those things would add together and we would choose one or the other. But wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to choose? Right? You have it that weekend, they have it the next weekend,
Especially
and then we could go to both.
scenarios and tournaments. Like, I feel that you already have the scenario schedule is usually out before you announce a tournament. I feel tournaments can, excluding the Iron City Classic, I guess, because I don't know when they release their schedules, and that usually the same time every year.
I'm not sure. They've only done 2 years, so.
Oh, have they? I thought they did. Anyway, regardless of them, like, I think scenarios come out and then we're like, oh, let's do a tournament, and that's great. I would love to do more tournaments. But
Yeah, so there's
whatever.
too many, so I think that the owners should all get together. Not necessarily the owners, even. Just have a representative from each field get together, coordinate it.
Like, legitimately, it would be an hour. Be like, these are my ideas for the year. This is what I have.
And you don't have to give details either. Just say, I'm thinking about these 4 weekends. Is anyone else planning on doing anything those weekends? No? Good. Or yes? Okay, well, you go the weekend before and I'll go the weekend after. It's super easy to figure out. Please just do it. Honestly, I'm willing to do that for P3 and Three Rivers. And Slaughterhouse. You know what? I'll represent all three and make sure they don't battle each other. Okay?
I'll just be your corporate calendar.
It's really, I would like, if there was an event every weekend, I certainly would not be able to go to all of them, but I would be able to go to at least twice as many if they were spread out, right? Right, and I think that's true for most people. So, the oversaturation that I always talk about can be reduced if it was coordinated.
Well, didn't they do that with what's that? I think it was the paintball one in Virginia, West Virginia, that she went for. It was 7 flags. They were gonna do a big capture the flag event, and it
Yes,
was
so
gonna
let
be.
me come back to that. Let me come
Okay.
back. The oversaturation would be minimized if it was just coordinated a little better, because we don't have paintball is a small it's a niche. Like, there's not a whole lot of people that play paintball comparatively, right? So you gotta work with the players you have, and most paintballers are avid paintballers. Like, if you're into it, you're into it. Whether that be speedball or scenarios specifically or just broadly everything, whatever it be, generally when you're into it, right? So you're going to go to as many of these scenarios or these events as you can, depending on what your event type is. So if you spread them out, instead of competing and saying come to mine instead of going to theirs, make it the next weekend and you'll both get all of them. That's making money for all of the fields. And people can't afford all of them, so you're still going to get people that pick this one over that one. But let's say let's just make the numbers easy. Let's say there were 10 paintballers in the area, and you had 2 fields with 2 different things happen on the same weekend. Let's say one of those are Mission Masters, and one of them is this is Joe's field down the street. They're a nice field and everything, but this is the first scenario. Well, more than likely you're going to get 8 of those 10 people to go to Mission Masters, and the 2 are going to go to the other one, right? That's just going to happen, Even if they were both unheard of, one was Joe's and one was Bob's, they were both brand new, well, then you're going to get 5 and 5. Or if you do it this weekend and the next weekend, you'll get 10 going to that one and 8 going to that one. Well, you just doubled your numbers. Like, it's not that hard.
I understand wanting to be competitive, but why be that competitive where if
they're hurting themselves.
If you're gonna do it at a different day or a different weekend, you've just now doubled your revenue, because now the people that weren't gonna go to your event because it was on a Sunday after they played a scenario that was all day. It didn't stop. It didn't have missions. I'm not gonna do an all day scenario and then go play a tournament.
So spread it out. Now, as far as what you were saying about, yeah, so that's Preston County Paintball, and they have every year they have Seven Flags event on the anniversary of their first weekend, or at least they try to get it as close as they can. Well, I guess the way it worked out, or it had to be delayed or something, to where it worked out. It was the weekend after Ion, um, and they decided to. Eventually, they decided to move it. I think for more than one reason, but one of the reasons was people were saying I can't go to that because I can't afford it right after Ion, and or I'm going to be tired after Ion. I think there was another reason too. Something happened and they had to move it. But like he tried to put in some considerations. Like he ended up telling everybody if you bring your Ion paint, you can use it for a small fee. I liked that. That was great.
That's where we were gonna go.
That's one of the reasons we were going to go because we usually have Ion paint left over. We were going to use it down there. Now the weekend they ended up moving it to, I believe though, unfortunately, it was another scenario. So like, you moved it for one, getting it away from one, and you moved it to the same day as another. That just talk to each other, guys. Now Preston County is one of the farther ones out. It's about an hour and a half away. It's in West Virginia.
An hour and a half is.
It's almost 2 hours. It's almost 2 hours. But not for me, yeah, but not for paintballer. But the point is that like you're still within the Pittsburgh paintball radius. I would still consider them
I think
in the radius. Yeah, I would say a 2 hour radius is a pretty good like Pittsburgh area paintball. So like check the fields, and being where they are, they should check fields that are other places too. They should check within a 2 hour radius of them, right? I don't know. It just I feel like you guys are hurting yourselves, and by you guys I mean the owners of fields. You're hurting yourselves by not cooperating with each other. Whether it be John's idea of each field, doing a tournament, throughout the year, or just coordinating to make sure you're not on the same weekends. As simple as that. Whatever you do, just if you work together, you guys would make a lot more money, or at least maybe not make more money, but you certainly you wouldn't make a lot more money necessarily, but you'd make more because you'd get more people. They wouldn't have to split their time between the 13 fields that we have in the area.
You're already competing on a Saturday or Sunday.
You're competing for open play. Don't compete
you
for
don't need to compete for
big
a
scenarios.
Scenario where you're like, I mean, I know this is exaggeratory or being exaggerating, but doesn't Ion make its profit on paint alone on the beach?
From what I've heard, the rumor is that within the first 2 hours, so that's the beach landing of Ion, the paint sales alone, not entry or anything else, just paint sales, they make their entire year's budget. So anything on top of that is profit.
My point is that scenarios and paint sales are what probably keep you secure in the paintball area. I don't know. I could be wrong with that. Why compete when you don't have to?
That's what I'm saying. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up on the live stream. If you don't agree with me, give me a thumbs down. And at the end, I'm going to count the thumbs. I have 4 people watching, so there better be at least 4 thumbs. But I think that's about all I wanted to talk about today. Any thoughts from anybody? Any thoughts at all?
We're opinionated.
We are, but with good stuff, I think.
I've always been opinionated.
Not there, Alex, on the YouTube. Not in the conversation box. I need engagements on the video.
But I've always been opinionated. Opinionated and competitive.
This is true. You are those things.
But I'm cute.
You're that as well. You are that as well. Loki, you can't have popcorn. It's bad for you, babe.
But Daddy, I ate that whole corn cob and nothing happened to me.
Yeah, but it's different.
You
It's
also ate
different.
Daddy's shoe. And let me tell you.
And by the way, guys, I only have 12 views on yesterday's video. What up with that? Come on, guys, go watch it. I liked that one. I mean, it was decent. I had a lot of kills. So, anyway. Yeah, so that's about it. Obviously, no one has anything to say. So, Xavier, if you want to, at any point, feel free to message me or call me or whatever. We can get together and talk about stuff if you want our input. If you don't, if you want me to just shut up about it, please just tell me that, and I will absolutely put my mind to other things.
We also need to interview him, though.
Yes, we do need to interview you at some point.
And
so
we need to read
that
him.
I'll definitely get together with you at some point on. Which event are we going through next?
Zombies, right?
As of right now, the next event we're going to would be Nazi Zombies at Three Rivers Paintball. It's a Mission Master scenario
November 10th.
on November 10th.
That's our anniversary. It's also the anniversary.
Anniversary of what?
Oh, it's being boyfriend and girlfriend.
Okay.
Also, more importantly, though, it's the anniversary of analytical geometry.
I don't know what that means, but okay. Now, something new may come up. For example, Reaper Siege I didn't know about until about a month ahead of time, and then Atlas Rising I knew of, but I didn't know too much about it. And I certainly hadn't decided I was going until like a week or two ahead of time. So,
And I just get told, get in the car, we're going.
so that may change, but as of right now, November 10th is our next scenario.
Put your paintball underwear on and get in the car.
Get in the car. Or don't even put the underwear on. Just get in there naked. That's fine. Well, Eric, keep in mind.
Geometry, not calculus.
Don't write too much. Write. If you're writing things and coming up with ideas, clarify the ideas you already have. Don't come up with just ideas because we can only do so many. Keep that in mind. As I was just saying, can't fill in every weekend, so. Spread it, concentrate on a couple as opposed to like thinking of like 30.
You could have a snow one and happen.
What? That's nothing. There's no bearing whatsoever on what I'm saying.
You could play all year long.
Okay.
Depending on weather, or if you like to play in snow.
And how does that bear on what I'm saying?
I'll give you more weekends.
But there's still only 52 of them.
Yes, there is.
Okay. Well, get at least 2 for 2019. Is that total or for P3? Because remember, there's already 2 in the works for P3. Keep that in mind. Can only do so many. I don't even know. That plus the summer camp plus the tournament may already be too much for them. So, bring it down a notch.
Or have your ideas now and then you have them.
Right, but if he
or
comes
you-
up with them now, he's gonna come up with more, and then how do you choose which one you're gonna do? When 2020 comes around and you have 13 ideas.
Because you're gonna go to him and be like, "This one sucks."
Reaper Siege 2 will be the same place as Reaper Siege 1, which, if you haven't learned from the 18 videos I've done of it already, is at P3, Pittsburgh Paintball Park. Which is here in Pittsburgh. It's actually in the city of Pittsburgh. What? What was that face?
It's in the city of Pittsburgh?
It's owned by the city. Yes, it's on. Crafton is part of the city.
You sure about that?
How much do you want to bet?
Nothing.
How much are we going to bet on this? Let's look it up. But no date has been set yet. It's not even 100% sure it's going to happen.
This is the best photo ever.
Nice. Alright, let's see what we got here. Alright. Pittsburgh Burrus.
I don't know how you spell it.
It's Pittsburgh neighborhoods.
Brookline.
Where did it go? Where?
You clicked on the actual map and it took you to Brookline because you clicked Brookline.
Oh, okay. So we need over here.
Where? Yeah, it is. It says Crafton Heights. Is that where it is? Is it in Crafton
Boom,
Heights?
baby!
Oh. And it's actually in Crafton Heights.
Oh.
Why do I let you?
Oh. Don't sit on my lap. Don't.
I don't think
You're pressing buttons here.
Is Crafton Heights where it's actually located?
I don't. I'd have to see a map of the roads. I don't know.
So don't give me that I'm better than you face.
Carnegie's part of the city. I think it's Crafton, but it could be Ingram. But
well, Ingram isn't part of the city on this map.
anyway, it's within the city, so it actually is
Oh.
Pittsburgh. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all.
So the answer to your question, Alex, for when get off me, get out of here, is it's not even definitely happening yet. We have to work it all out with Reapers. There will definitely be a scenario, and it will definitely be that type, but whether or not it's actually Reaper Siege 2, that is still in the works. As I said earlier, Reaper has expressed interest in doing it. He's definitely willing to. We just have to work out the details and make sure he actually can. You're only writing 2 per year, and they will be used next year. Never shut up, always love the input. I think he's talking to you.
No, you said if you want me to shut up, I will, and I'll never tell you.
Were you talking to her specifically, or were you talking about me not shutting up, giving you ideas? I hate this delay. Now there's just a 30-second blank spot as I wait for an answer because of the delay. But yeah, so if you think of a different or better name, or just your own name, as opposed to the Atlas Paintball Universe, or APU, I'll start calling it that. And if you want ideas, I've already got some. But if you'd rather just do it all yourself, or you don't want to do it at all, just let me know, because I have other things I can concentrate on. But I've already got ideas, and apparently Eric already has an idea that we can easily incorporate into it. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. Just the other day, I was driving down the street, and I saw something on the side of the road. It was a sign. And I actually pulled over, turned around, went back, took a picture of the sign, and then went on my merry way, because I thought I might be able to use it if ever you use our ideas about just random things, random missions for people that are involved in the APU to do, and actually fit with that. So I have it on my phone now. So if you ever do a side mission that involves it, I'm ready to go. So as soon as I see it, I can post. Dan, you have an idea for a title of the event I sent you? Well, that would depend, Minion, on a couple of things. One would be, so if it's going to be best to do at Slaughterhouse, you say. So if he makes it part of the APU, we would need to change it around a little bit. You wouldn't have U.S. SEALs against terrorists. You would have rebels against Atlas. So that would have to change a little bit. But if you kept it the way it is, I don't know. I'm not very good at names, so that's something A-Dog is better at than I am. I'd have to give it some thought. I don't. I've been doing this, so I haven't really done too much thinking about that one. Alex, this is why, if you show up 45 minutes late stands for Atlas Paintball Universe. Atlas Paintball Universe. Go back and watch last week's video live, and you'll understand. Okay, that's all. I'm not going to go any farther into it than that. But that's all I have for tonight, guys. Yeah, Xavier, feel free, absolutely message me at any point, and we can absolutely talk. Eric, keep messaging me and texting me about your ideas. We'll talk about it. We'll see if we can get going. Although on that one, for yourself, do the ideas and I'll work with you. But until we get word from Xavier whether or not we're incorporating that specifically into the APU or just in general, if he doesn't really want to do it, don't put too much effort into it until we know kind of what we're doing with it, because that will change aspects of it. So keep that in mind. But I will talk to some of you soon, and the rest of you, I'll see you next week. Have a good night.